Welcome to another episode of Beyond Brilliant, where we help you gain the clarity, confidence, and the courage to shine in your brilliant zone. I'm Dr. Dion Parker, the Courage Catalyst, and I'm that hand on your back that pushes you out of your comfort zone all the way into your courage zone. And I'm joined by my amazing purpose partner,
Dr. Nicole Steele, the confidence coach, and I am that voice in your ear reminding you of who and whose you are. So we are delighted to have joining us today a very special friend, a friend of ours and a friend of the Beyond Brilliant community. We have the one and only Dr. Natoshia Anderson. The
yes,
STEM queen, honey. We brought the fire today.
I don't know. I don't know if Dr. Nicole is talking about my hair or my attitude. I don't know.
I mean, for real, all of it.
A whole package. So, Dr. Natasha, we know you quite well. We have had the pleasure of walking with you and seeing the incredible work that you are doing in so many spaces. But many of our viewers may just be getting to know you for the first time. So if you could kindly introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, thank you. First off, I'm always grateful and thankful to be granted access to anybody's platform. The fact that you guys were willing to share your space with me means the world to me. So thanks. Secondly, I am Dr. Natasha Anderson. I am the nerdy STEM queen. I call myself that because I am an engineer, an educator, and an entrepreneur all rolled into one. So what that means for you all is especially if you're a woman of color, is I'm I'm your courage catalyst. I'm your coach. I'm your consultant. I'm your person. If you are a school principal or a school superintendent, and you're looking to do STEM in any way, shape, or form, then I'm the person you need to talk to. If you're in business or industry and you're looking for DE and I work, you want to change the culture, especially as it relates to people of color, then you can consult with me also. I do all of those things. I'm a children's author and I'm a podcast host. So I do all the things as it surrounds women of color, people of color, and STEM.
I love it. And I always call her a unicorn. She knows this. I call her a unicorn
Yeah.
because she is so unique in all the things that she does. And she's carved out this niche. And you're going to hear a little bit more about all of the things you do because, of course, because we're going to ask you all these wonderful questions. And so we want to thank you, first of all, just for introducing yourself the way that you introduced yourself, because what we focus on in Beyond Brilliant is really sharing your brilliance, right? And going beyond it. And you just shared some of the things that you do. So just a little teensy bit there. But we're going to get all the way into this good, all the way in. So we encourage you to grab a pen and a friend because she's going to drop these gems on you today. Now, the first question that we want to dive into is, how did you get into the field of STEM? What made you decide to just jump into STEM? Like, what was it?
My dad. I was a daddy's girl, and my dad was a mechanic. So there were many evenings, afternoons, weekends spent in the garage, picking up tools and getting in trouble and getting my hands slapped for like I wonder what happens if I put this here. And my dad be like, no, don't do that. So that's how my interest grew. I knew that I wanted to do I didn't even know it was engineering. I just knew I liked to design and build stuff. And I didn't even know engineering was a thing until junior year in high school, when someone helped me, my counselor helped me put a name to it. And I was able to enter into programs that gave me more information. I was in Inroads, which is this national program for minority students that introduces them and gives them opportunities in STEM fields. And so I got to put a name on it, but I actually got to walk in it. And I was like, yeah, That's my thing. So it started really young and it just never left. Just
I
never
love
left.
it. I love it. Yes, and I see Dr. Nicole shaking her head like, yep, and yep, and yep.
Yes, yes. I think it's fascinating because we know and we share with our listeners and our clients all the time our belief that we are all created with a purpose and a destiny, and we've got all of these gifts. I know in one of the previous shows, Dr. D, you talked about all of these special gifts that God puts in us, and we get to activate them at different stages and phases of life. But to have Dr. Natasha, reflect back on her childhood, and
Yeah.
those gifts were activated right then. And now her dad might not have been so happy because she was a little bit curious and getting in the way. But I just love that she was able to start uncovering that and then building it as she progressed on through life. So I love it. I
I
love it.
agree. I
The good
agree.
thing about my dad, and I'll say this and then, we can push on, but my dad fostered my curiosity in a way that I haven't had anyone really do since he left. And he just was like, whatever it is you want to do, I'm here to push you into that, to into more of that. And he did it. I don't know. I miss him so much, but just the way he did that was such a gift that I try to do the same for my kids. So
I do
True.
love what you just said, and it is such a beautiful thing to hear you say that your father fostered that gift, helped stir it up, right? And to allow you to explore. And so I'm so glad you said that. And I hope for our listening audience that you're hearing this, that you've had somebody in your life, whether it was a parent or a mentor or whomever, that helped stir up that gift in you, and that maybe you're paying it forward. Now, we're going to have more with Dr. Natasha, but we got to go pay some bills and we'll come back. Don't forget to get your pen and a friend and tune back in. We'll be right back.
Diamond in the Rough has been for me
a sense of family.
Family.
All the mentors are always there for you. You're surrounded by a group of girls who
love you, care for you, try to help you.
You feel that you're welcome to ask any questions.
They implement growth, empowerment, love.
We bring families together.
It's life-changing.
It's life-changing for them.
Girls are really struggling to understand their own self-worth.
Diamond in the Rough has given me so much.
Diamond in the Rough has actually helped me become my own person.
They teach us to be a leader in the community. We're going through a rough period in our life, and we need people there to guide us, and that's what Diamond in the Rough is for, to lead us in the right direction.
So it helps us maintain our value in this world and in this society.
I like the sisterhood.
Sisterhood.
The camaraderie is just wonderful.
Knowing that you have a sister anywhere you go.
We look out for each other. We lift each other up.
Because of the sisterhood and what they teach you there, you know that you have to place it in your life forever.
The minute I saw Diamond in the Rough, I knew that that was a place for me.
The vision and the mission of this organization is huge, transforming the world, one child, one family, and one community at a time. Welcome back, my friends. Now, before the break, you just heard Dr. Natasha talk about the why of her being in the STEM field, right? What happened? How did she get there? And she talked about her father playing a huge role in where she's at right now and fostering that gift in her. Thank you for sharing that. It was such a beautiful, transparent moment that you shared with us. And again, we asked our viewing audience to think of those who actually stirred up the gifts in them. Now we're going to turn our attention to another question. I know, Dr. Nicole, you have a great question that you want to ask our wonderful guest here.
I do. One of the things that I would like to know is, what is one of your greatest achievements in the work that you've done in the STEM field?
Now, that's such an interesting question. I don't know that there's just one. I think my greatest achievement to date, though, or one of my greatest achievements, is really being able to start to make the change in STEM that we need. So you guys may know that STEM is mainly a white man's career still. And so it's not to say that there aren't minorities in it, but the numbers are still low. After 20, 30 years of STEM being a thing, the numbers are still low. So being able to make a dent in that, we've seen a rise in women of color going into the sciences mainly, but it's spreading across the other, if we're going to go through the acronym, the other pieces of the acronym. And then having just a small part in that, making sure that, our recruitment efforts, making sure that kids from all ages know and learn about STEM, they get exposed to it, but it's exposure plus. So what are we doing past the event? Making sure that they are engaged in long-term STEM projects where their brain clicks on that I can do this too. This is for me. This is in me to do. So being a small part in seeing that jump in the number is a great. I feel that in a place that means more than. I mean, it validates all of my work.
That's
I
beautiful.
love that. I love that. And that is a great lead in into some of the challenges. You spoke a lot about the fact that number wise, when it comes to Black and brown women, in particular, women in general, but especially Black and brown women, that we're the minority in the STEM or STEAM's field. What are some of the other challenges that you and your counterparts face in a predominantly male and predominantly white male industry?
The biggest challenge I've seen, and as someone who coaches women of color in STEM in particular, it's being, and I'm saying it the way I'm saying it for a reason, it's being allowed to be our full whole selves in the workplace. Whether that's our hair, whether that's the way we phrase words or sentences, the way we invoke, invocation, the way we show up in spaces, the way we write, the way we enter into, or the way we work together with folks. It's always, there's always something. And so when you look at over long term, if you were look at the performance reviews of women of color in STEM, women in general, but women of color in STEM get it because, of course, their bosses are white men who are like, I need you to be another white man. And I'm not. So you'll see that it's not about their skill or their technical talent. It's always about the other stuff. And those things wear on the soul of a person. It wears on their mental psyche and their emotional well-being. And that's literally why people are leaving. It's not that I'm not skilled or talented, or I don't have a degree in this thing, or I don't like what I'm doing it. It's more like I don't like where and the who I'm doing it with.
Wow, that's
That's
powerful.
real.
It
That's
is. It's
real.
very real. And I'm wondering, exactly what you just said about women, leaving the field, and then some that are even, preventing themselves from even going towards this field, which is very sad because we need that.
We need
So,
that. Yeah.
so badly. And we need to start early, and as we're talking about, really building the next generation of brilliant minds, it's people like you that are in this field still, carving the way for young girls to do this. You're such a beautiful example of that. And so I thank you and honor the work that you do, and then knocking down the barriers for young girls to come right there and say, I too can see myself in this. So thank you for that, honey.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I just got to honor that in you. Now, when you think about who your audience is, when you talked about your podcast, Stimming in Stilettoes is the name of her podcast, and you're speaking to women. What one thing do you want women of color in STEM to know?
Just that that it really is okay for you to show up and be your whole self, that there is not a force in the universe that can tell you anything different, to tell you who you are. That's not true. It's not real. It's not honest. And if you are having that experience, I want you to know that you have the option and the right to say no more, to opt out, to choose something different, to show up as your whole self at work. It's not an extra. It's a given.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Bling, 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 bling. There was
Yes.
that gem she just. I love it.
Yes, yes. So, Dr. Natasha, here on the Beyond Brilliant broadcast and within our network, we focus on three primary areas: clarity, confidence, and courage. And when I hear you and when I, take a look at all of the receipts, because, I know you offset. You got many, many receipts, my sister. But what advice would you give to another woman or even young adult who is maybe struggling in one of those areas, in the area of clarity, and should I really press forward in this field knowing all that I know, or someone who's in the middle of it and struggling with confidence and courage? What tips would you give them, or what things have you learned along the way in one or several of those areas?
Oof. Okay, y'all don't come with like can I get a softball question? Can I just get one? Okay. So let me just say that first off, the learning never stops. That's the true deal. Your life there aren't finite moments where you can be like, okay, I'm done with that. So learning has to be a major part of your life. To that end, when we are talking about clarity and confidence and being courageous or showing courage, they're all interrelated, and the work has to start internally. So you have to really dig deep inside to figure out who it is you are. So if we're fighting at work about, I can't show up at work and blah, 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 whatever that looks like for you, you got to know exactly who you are, so that when the conflict comes, you can say, you know what, nope, that's not me, or yes, that is me, and go about your business. Make decisions based off of that thing. If you're not clear on who you are, then you allow room for somebody else to tell you who you are, and you don't want that, because now you are living up to expectations that were never meant for you. And who wants to do that? Like who want to do that all the time? I mean, come on now. So this life, you're granted one opportunity. And so our job is to figure out who we are so we can live in our divine purpose. And that's that on that. So that is your work. And so your confidence shows up. The more you know yourself, the more confident you become in doing whatever it is, the thing you're doing. And that's when you can be as courageous as possible. Not to say that courage, you're not exhibiting courage along the way. You have to, because life is going to throw us stuff where we're going to have to stand up and throw our shoulders back and be like, okay, I got this, right? But the more you know yourself, the more courageous you can be. And not only for yourself, but like for the people, you can show up for other people in ways that are courageous and do all those things. So yeah, it's a learning process, man.
I mean, the gems have been dropped, honey. If y'all didn't catch them gems, if you don't have your treasure box out, I don't know what. You're going to have to rewind, go back and listen and push pause. Do what you got to do. Because that was the truth. That was the truth. And there's going to be so much more that we want to share. If you are tuned in right now and you have not told a friend, you pop for you, because this is a great conversation. And we're going to come right back with Dr. Natoshia speaking about women in STEM, women of color in STEM, and so much more. We'll be right back. Hi there. I'm Dr. Dion Parker, the Courage Catalyst.
And I'm Dr. Nicole Steele, the Confidence Coach. And we invite you to join us weekly for Beyond Brilliant,
a show where you will gain the clarity, confidence, and courage to shine in your brilliant zone.
So tune in and tell a friend. We can't wait to see you.
All right, my friends, welcome back. I hope you are ready for some more of Dr. Natoshia, who is dropping gems all over the place, honey. My treasure box is nearly full and overflowing. Now, not only is this beautiful, brilliant woman just a STEM genius and podcast host and consulting in STEM and speaker in STEM and all curriculum development, all these wonderful things. Honey, she is also an authoress of several books. Yes. And so what we want to talk about is her children's books. Can you talk to us a little bit about the children's books that you've written in STEM?
So the two are really different. So I'll just bring them up. This is my latest, called London Gets Curious. And then my first book is the ABC Engineering book. So one is for the very young among us, learning your ABCs, and you can use the book to teach your child their ABCs, but it uses engineering terms. So it's A for aqueduct instead of A for apple. So you're teaching them very young to think and to learn words and the meanings of some STEM terms, which I think is great. And I'm glad that I was the author of this book because, I mean, we give 2-year-olds a cell phone, so we might as well teach them the words that go along with it. And this book is one way to do that. And it's about clicking the mind on early and then fostering that interest as they grow. That's how we can feed the STEM pipeline and make sure that we're shoring it up. Now, London Gets Curious is very special and near and dear to my heart because I wrote it with my niece. She's 10 years old and she's really curious for real. But this book explores 10 STEM careers. It's a conversation. It is literally a conversation that her and I had that I happened to record. And then I enhanced it by adding in some additional STEM careers. So you get to learn about TT and London, and you get to learn about 10 really brilliant STEM careers, everything from a game developer to a mechanical engineer. So I hope you enjoy it. You can get both books on Amazon. If you want them to be autographed, then you can order them from my website at www.drtasha.com. Now, Tasha is spelled with an O and an I, and I'm sure it'll be in the show notes or you'll be able to find it. So click on the link and then go to my merch place and you can find the books.
Awesome.
Dr. Natoshia, is that also where they can find out more about your coaching and consulting services, as well as to tune into your fabulous podcast?
Yes, my website is one-stop shop. You want to know about Dr. Tasha, you want to know what I'm up to, where I've been, what I'm doing, the next episode of the podcast, what coaching services I have available, whether that's individual coaching, group coaching, or you want me to consult with your company and or your school or business, you can find it all there.
And one last question about your services. Do you speak?
Most definitely. So you'll also find examples of my speeches on my website. So I really want people to know that I will have no problem speaking on the stage about my favorite subject. And especially if the topic is around leadership, education, women in STEM.
I have one more question before we wrap up. And Dr. Natoshia, we like to ask guests on our show one question, and that is, what does it look like when you're in your brilliant zone?
That's a really interesting question. I think it probably looks different than people think it does, because when I'm in my brilliant zone, you probably won't see me because I'm the person who is I'm developing. I'm a programmer. I'm developing. So I'm behind the scenes and I've got my head down. I'm doing research. I'm putting things together. I'm literally having conversations with myself, and I do answer. So that's probably when I'm most in my brilliant zone. You'll see the end result of me being in my brilliant zone by the programs I design, by the speeches I deliver, the behind the scenes work that goes into producing a podcast. So It's not the work that's in front of the camera. It's the hard work that goes into the production of the thing. So you want me to consult with your company? I'm good. You trust. I'm going to do my research. You want me to be your coach? I'm going to do my research on you. You want me to you be a guest on my podcast? I'm going to research you. So like there's work to be done. That's me working in my brilliant zone so I can show up as my best whole self for you.
Well, this is a great segue into the way that we like to close each of our shows here on the Beyond Brilliant broadcast. And I know Dr. Natoshia, you've tuned in before, so you're aware. But for those that are joining us for the first time, we like to close out with something that we call our brilliant blessing. And that is just turning us to God's word and reminding us of what he says. And so, Dr. Natoshia, I would like, Dr. D and I would like to invite you to bring the brilliant blessing, if you would be so kind.
So this one really helps to remind me of whose I am and that he's got me. So it is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Saves me every time.
So thank you so much, Dr. Natoshia. Dr. D, I'm going to let you close us out and also remind people of where they can get in touch with our fabulous sister here.
Yes, and yes, and yes. Dr. Natoshia, you are amazing as always. I always say that to you, my unicorn friend. And she always comes when we call. So we are so grateful for you. This has been an amazing show. We thank you so much for tuning in. Please go and grab a book or 2 or 3 or 4 of our friend Dr. Natoshia, Dr. Tasha, TOSHIA.com. So please go out there and visit. Now, if you want to rewatch this show, please go to www.beyondbrilliantbroadcast.com to take a look at this show, other shows, comment, send your questions in because we answer live as well with our Brilliant Bag segment. And honey, if you want to be a part of the most brilliant community that we know, go to beyondbrilliantnetwork.com and join the community. You will not be sorry. We want you to be in the know and not outside looking like, ooh, the funky face. We want you to be in it.
Love that.
This has been an amazing show, and we would like to leave you with the way that we always do, is to let you remember to be bold,
be brave, and be
brilliant.